Oh, welcome to tonight's Dino Bidala Show on Sirius XM channel 127, Wednesday, February 3rd. And yesterday was Groundhog Day, but thanks to the Republican Party, every day feels like Groundhog Day because it's another day where they're defending a vile bigot in Marjorie Taylor Greene and will not do anything to hold her responsible for the most vile comments out there. And what they're doing now is trying to say, like, oh, if you're going to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from her committees for all the vile comments she's made, you have to remove Congressman Ilhan Omar. What is Ilhan Omar's comments from over 2 years ago? One-time thing where she apologized for anything to do with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But here's the thing. The GOP is just doubling down on bigotry. They're defending a bigot while spewing more hate because to them, the GOP, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, represents all the things they hate. She's black, she's Muslim, and she's an immigrant. Add to that, she's a smart woman. They despise that. So, of course, out of the thimble air, they pick her. But look, the point about Marjorie Taylor Greene is this. She's not an aberration. She's a culmination of where the GOP has been going under Trump. In fact, I would say bluntly, we have to make her the face of the GOP, not because it helps us politically, but because it's accurate. I'll go through what she's about. You tell me where it doesn't sound familiar. Tell me in one place where the Republican Party under Trump does not manifest through exactly what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing. She's anti-Muslim. She said that Muslims coming to Congress were part of an Islamic invasion and said that Muslims should not be allowed in this country. Donald Trump called for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims. Donald Trump said Islam hates us. Republicans for years before Trump have been demonizing Muslims. So check that box. She's perfectly in line. Anti-black. Yes, she's anti-Black Lives Matter, which is their way of not saying things about black people, but saying Black Lives Matter. Instead, she's demonized it, equating it with the Klan. About black and brown people, she said, don't blame white people for your problem. It's your own problem because you have gangs and drug use in your community. And I'll play the actual audio clip on my show tonight. It's stunning. So she's a racist. How is that different from the rest of the GOP? To be blunt, how is that different? I'm not kidding. She's anti-immigrant. The GOP's entire brand is anti-immigrant. So you got that covered. She is anti-fact. That's the GOP's brand, especially under Trump. She's all about white victimhood, saying the group most discriminated against in America is, wait for it, white men. Not even white women, white men. White victimhood is the GOP's DNA. She has embraced outlandish conspiracy theories. So does Donald Trump. Donald Trump defended QAnon. Donald Trump said climate change is a hoax from China. He called COVID a hoax. None of this is different. Nothing she is saying. And you might say, well, she did at least indicate on Twitter, or on Facebook, I should say, approval of violence against Nancy Pelosi and others. Donald Trump incited an insurrection against our Capitol. And after that insurrection, out of 211 House members who are Republican, only 10 voted to impeach him. Look, this is their brand. I'm not exaggerating. This is who the GOP is. Remember this, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not an aberration. She's a culmination of where the GOP has been going now for years. This is the face of the GOP. We, as a nation, have to deal with it. And look, today, Kevin McCarthy, the GOP House Minority Leader, had a chance to do the right thing. The Democrats said they weren't even asking to expel her, which would take 2/3 of the full Congress per our Constitution. They were just saying remove her from committees. They didn't ask to remove her from Congress. But still, GOP House Leader Kevin McCarthy won't even do that because their brand is bigotry. Their brand is white victimhood. Their brand is rebellion against facts and inciting violence. That's what the GOP is. That's why when I say the GOP is America's budding fascist movement, it's not over the top. This is what fascism is about. The violence is the key factor at the end of it. But so much of this of turning people against each other, this kind of normalization of hate against minority groups, this is all how fascists work. This is what the GOP is about. So look, on my show, I'm going to actually play audio clips of Marjorie Taylor Greene. We've all read comments she's made. I think it's so important you hear it from her mouth. And then add to that, you had her just 2 days ago on a radio show asking, do you apologize? She goes, I see nothing to apologize for. And today, when Lindsey Graham was on Fox News, he said, well, maybe the comments are taken out of context. What? They're in writing, half of them. And just 2 days ago, she endorsed him by saying, I don't have to apologize. Today, Jim Jordan, who's just irredeemable in his own right, said, if we hold her responsible for her words, what's next? Holding others responsible? He used the word cancel, but cancel just means holding responsible. Because if we cancel her, what's next? Again, the GOP doesn't want to cancel her. They don't want to even punish her. They don't want to condemn her because she lines up perfectly with today's GOP. This was not 10 years ago. She would not fit at all. Not kidding. But under Trump, she fits perfectly. This is the GOP. When you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, do not allow anyone, if you hear any media people saying things like, she's so horrific. No, she's the GOP. She's the brand. We're seeing it right in front of us, folks. And the GOP can show us that's not the brand by expelling her from her committees. I think expelling her from Congress, but at least expelling her from her committees. They won't even do that. So the Democrats tomorrow, unless something changes, will vote, maybe a full House resolution, to expel her from her committees, and she'll claim victimhood and raise money off it because the Republican base, guess what? They like the same bigotry. They like the same conspiracy theories. They like the same incitement of violence because the GOP leaders are not fascists on their own in a vacuum. Their base is on board with this. This is the reality. The Republicans who are not on board with this have already left. They've left the ship. They're gone. The ones who are left on the ship are the fascists. So we'll talk about that more on my show today and how we have to do everything in our power between now and the 2022 midterm to make it clear that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not an aberration. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a culmination. She is the true face of today's GOP. We have to make it clear to GOP donors, especially corporate donors who give to like the Republican National Committee, because they're not going to give to her, but the Republican National Committee and any Republican organizations, that we have to let the public through the media know they're supporting a party that is poster child, is an anti-Semite, anti-Muslim, anti-Black, anti-immigrant bigot who has mocked the children who were involved in Parkland shooting, saying it was staged, who said 9/11 was an inside job, and said forest fires were started by lasers run by the Rothschilds. This is like Elders of Zion stuff. This is just so, we've not seen anyone that altogether this horrific, but this is where the GOP is going. So we'll talk about that more on my show. My show's live 6 to 9 p.m., channel 127, Sirius XM, as I say every night. If you don't subscribe, come on over. Get a free trial. And just, there's some great music channels too. But listen to my show, channel 127. Call in. Be a part of our family. We got so much work to do to make this country better. If you want progress, stay active. Be a part of it. Hopefully you'll tune in. Thanks for joining us today on the preview of the show.